So I'm going to bring our guest in. So before I go any further, I just want to introduce to you Kim Hamburg, collage artist. But I always think the best way to start an interview is by having the person I'm interviewing introduce themselves, because you know what you want to say.
Pretty
So
much. Yeah.
take it away, and I will just interrupt as needed.
Okay. Well, thank you, Seth. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. And if I can start by saying that I have admired and liked you from years back, and not to say you're old, Seth, because we're probably the same age, but I remember you from even long before Instagram. You were on YouTube. And even before that, I used to watch you go to the craft shows. I think they were in Florida. Do you remember the ones I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Yep.
And I think were you with Paper Artsy, or I
Mhm.
don't know who you were with, but you would do little demos, and different people would come with their cameras or whatever. And I used to always fast forward between you and Tim Holtz. I would always watch your demos live. And I just remember all your textures that you would do. And I have to say that I think I can credit you and maybe a few other, very early mixed media people who kind of encouraged me along the way to start on my journey. So I do want to thank you for that. And so when you slid into my DMs and asked me to join you, it was it was like a fangirl moment for me. So
Oh.
I really do want to appreciate you for doing that.
Well, I thank you for all of that. And I have to say that I'm a fanboy because I run out of adjectives to describe your work. And just the one thing I'm going to say before you take over, I absolutely love and value artists whom, when I'm scrolling through my feed with a gazillion pictures and I see an image of work and I can instantly identify it as theirs before I even see the caption. To me, it's amazing because there is so much work out there in the world. It's just very hard to have your own truly identifiable style, and you do. And
Oh, well, thank you.
I need to hear more about that. But
Yeah.
first,
Okay.
a little bit
Well,
about you.
a little bit about me. Well, I live in Springfield, Missouri, and we're big hillbilly country here. And I know you're in New York. Very different in New York. The nice thing about it is we have lots of thrift stores, lots of opportunities for paper, and we have lots of quilters here. So we have lots of opportunities to get lots of good stuff. So one really good thing is I get lots of resources here. So that's a good thing. Anyway, I've lived here all my life. So I have visited other cultural places, but I've lived in Missouri my whole life. I've completely self-taught by people like you on the internet and Tim Holtz and other Ranger Inc. personalities. I think I watched all of you way back, like I said, long before Instagram. And I just kind of picked up techniques here and there. I used to scrapbook a little bit. I did some mixed media greeting cards. I was always the person at Hanukkah or, the High Holy Days. I was sending you out those beautiful, embossed greeting cards. That people would say, wow, can't wait to get Kim's greeting card for the year. I was that person. So that's kind of how I started. And I was a stay-at-home mom. So my main focus was on my family. And I'm also the kind of artist that makes a giant mess when I do my work. So I kind of was working in the kitchen because that's where my kids were. And so I would make a mess there. And so I didn't really feel like I could do more than really what I was doing, because in order for me to expand on doing art, I would have to, take over the whole house. And that wasn't fair to my husband and my kids.
Oh, although I will say that there are definitely people out there who have done that.
Yes. So, and I could have, but
you know who you are.
yes. And I now take over the whole basement pretty much. But at that time, and my kids are adults now, so I can dedicate more time. But and I never really saw myself as an artist. And I know a lot of now that I'm learning and talking to more artists, I've realized that a lot of artists started that out that way, that they didn't really consider themselves artists. Flash forward, I do now, but I didn't in the beginning. And so anyway, I just kind of segued from, scrapbooking, making greeting cards into making more mixed media art pieces. And I really only started doing this collage like 2 years and a little bit ago. And my daughter who lives in Philadelphia, and she is getting her graduate degree. Shout out to her. She put me on Instagram because I had no idea Instagram, Schminstagram. I didn't know. And so I had no intention. I thought maybe I'd get 3 followers, and it just kind of took off. So, and the rest is history. So that is my story. And people ask me, what do you want to do with it? I mean, I do sell my collages. I mean, if people ask, I sell them. I do have a website because so many people asked me to have a website. So I do have one such that it is. But as of right now, I mean, and you might be asking this in the, later on in the interview, but I really don't know where I want my career to go. I mean, I've been having interviews, and some magazines have asked for some interviews. I've been selling some collages. I've had a museum or a gallery or 2 reach out to me. I'm not with a gallery because I don't really know what that means. So they kind of reached out to me, and I've turned them down because I don't really know if I want to do that. I am teaching a class soon, but anyway, so that's where I am right now. I just really don't know what I want to do.
A lot of what you said will sound familiar to a lot of people, because not everybody, and in fact, probably most people, don't necessarily have the end point in mind when they start doing this.
Right.
It takes on a life of its own, and often takes you places where you didn't expect to go.
Exactly.
And I think it's an amazing ride. And I love that we talked about this right before we came on. I love that so much is happening for you now.
Yes.
Because, your work should be seen. And in the time I spent connecting with you, your personality should be shared as well, because you're really a fun person to talk to.
I need a podcast, Seth.
You do. You do. Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe you could go there. You could do that.
I have lots of layers, like an onion.
Yeah. See, it's perfect. It's all a metaphor, isn't it?
And, the good news for me is I am at a place now where, that premenopausal place, or menopausal place, but where my children are adults, and I am a foster mother. I do have foster kids, but they're also in that older teenage adult area. So they don't need me as much. They still need me, but not as much. And so I do have more time, and I'm out of the kitchen now, and I'm in the basement. So I have more room. Pretty much I've told my husband now, whatever, I'm making a mess. So
he knows.
I'm at that stage now in my marriage where I can tell my husband, get over it.
Yeah, I'm going to the basement.
Yeah,
Quiet.
I'm in the basement now. Yeah. So
what that means.
Right. Yeah. So, so I'm in a space now where I can do all that.
I love that. And things are opening up for you as a result, which is phenomenal.
Yes.
I love when the universe collides with what we put out there.
Right.
I know that there are people who are probably coming here from your side of things. They may have seen you post. People are coming here from my side of things. So not everybody from my side will know you. So can we start with a little tour of some of your work?
Sure. Yeah.
And because it's so, I don't know, mind-blowing, insert, mind-blown emoji here. Can you maybe share a little bit of your process?
Do you want me to show it here? And then you can, I'll just show it live off here. I'll just grab some. Okay. I just made this one a couple days ago. This is actually, this is the piece I'm going to make in the class for the Collage Summit that's coming up.
Okay. We're definitely going to talk about that.
Yes. So this is the piece I'm making, and I'm going to be doing the background. So I don't know if you can see all the textures and the different colors. So there's that one. And then, and you talk about my unique style. You can probably start to see the different circles and all the texture and the paint. So here's another one. I hope the glare isn't coming at you so much.
No, it's actually doing really well.
Okay, good. And then here's another one. I actually sold this one. And so if the owner is watching, it's coming to you. It'll be in the mail. This one's sold.
Wow. So I see. Again, I'm hoping that those of you who are watching, and this is new, you've shown us 4 collages, and the style is pretty clear.
Pretty clear. Yeah.
One of the things that is phenomenal to me.
Yeah. And I really like this one too.
Oh, I love that.
It's really nice.
That is just phenomenal.
This one I put kind of a border on. This one I ventured really. Can you see all the painting and the texture back there?
Yes.
This is all paint except for her face. I painted this whole thing except for her face. And normally I don't do that. Normally it's a pretty decent combination of paint and paper. So I've been kind of really working more in the painting area. Here's another one.
Wow. Wow, the
So
birds.
I spend a lot of time on backgrounds.
Oh, backgrounds are everything. We all know that.
I spend a lot of time on back, which brings me to my next point. I have been, sometimes I'll just sit and make backgrounds. Like here's a background I made.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just make backgrounds.
Oh, look at that texture.
Yes, that should have PG. Now I'm going to tell you that this is the Seth Apter texture. Look at that. Do you see that in there?
I see it. I see
That
it.
grid. That should be familiar to you.
Love that.
And then this is another one. This one actually could be just a collage, but it's a background I made. I'm actually going to collage on top of it.
Love it.
Yeah. And then here's
Really
another
love
one.
it.
This has got lots of texture too. This is a stencil. And in my collage summit, I'm actually going to teach this technique too.
Sweet.
It's kind of a bonus one. I kind of slid that one in there. Here's
Those of you
another
who are
one.
listening, we'll talk about the collage summit in a bit.
Yeah, here's another one I did. This is just another texture.
Awesome.
And this one also could just be a collage, but I'm going to collage over
You're
it.
going to work over it too?
I'm going to collage over this
Beautiful.
one too. This is just a background.
Love
But
it.
this has a lot of techniques. And this has tissue paper. It's got regular paper. It's got paint. There's crayon in there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. I am not limited. And this one, I think it's also really great. This one has jelly plate papers in it. Do you see the jelly plate papers?
That is so good.
So one thing, and I just listened to Drew, Drew Steinbrecher, who's doing the collage summit. I just listened to an interview with him this morning, and he was talking about the collision between jelly plate papers and collage. And I feel like I'm right at that crossroads because I do both. I do jelly plate and collage. And so far, I mean, what I have seen when I first started collage, it's either that you did jelly plate and you did junk journaling, or you did collage and it was kind of more of a fine art thing. And I was actually doing both. When I came into collage, I was doing jelly plate because I love jelly plate. And I was doing collage and I thought, why not? I'm one of these people that I'll just do anything. I'm open for anything. So I started actually putting the jelly plate papers right onto my collage.
Right.
And I'm not going to share this technique because you have to take my class. So, but I have a technique for how I do this and how they marry together. And Drew actually mentioned it today in his interview that he did. And he was talking about how, not that it's the latest thing, but it's a kind of a newer thing where the two of them are kind of coming together, kind of in a fusion.
One of the things I love about your work, I actually think of your work as a fusion. I'm a big believer in the concept of contrast, and contrast can be looked at in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And the two contrasts I see in yours that I absolutely love is that first one is it's so abstract and yet you use representational images.
Yes.
They collide in the best way possible. And it's completely organic and free. And yet you have very significant identifiable shapes.
Right.
I should say. Those contrasts they're unexpected in a lot of work and just elevate the work. That the person who bought your piece is listening and she said, yes, that's the piece I bought.
It's on its way.
Perfect. I made her keep it. That's the thing. You can blame me.
I wanted to show it during the interview.
Yes, it's perfect. All right. So
I'll send you an extra one. Wink, wink. I'll send you two since I haven't mailed it out.
You're on recording.
I know. I will. I'll send you two. Well, I have a secret, Seth. I have over 900 collages.
Oh, that's a secret. All right.
Yeah, I do. I have so many. I don't post them all. I make so many, like, all these backgrounds I just did. These are just like in the last couple days.
Okay. I will tell everybody who's watching that Kim and I were together in Zoom before this started. And I said, I'm going to put you in the waiting room for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. And the first thing she says, well, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be collaging. So she takes every moment.
Yes. Okay. Here it is right here. This is what I was
working on.
This is what I was doing.
Oh, layers. Love it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So the questions. Do you use magazine? What kind of paper do you work on? Where do you get all your collage elements from? Something you and I spoke about. Are there any copyright issues when using magazine images? And what paper do you use again? And then someone made the comment that you have 32,000 followers on Instagram. Your daughter knows her stuff. And people know good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, my daughter is a studio arts major. She went to WashU in St. Louis, and now she's getting her museum exhibition and design degree. And she's the one, honestly. Well, first of all, my whole family have been very encouraging and very supporting. But she in particular has been the one that has said, Mom, shut up. You're an artist. Do it. I'm going to put you on the internet. And she was not surprised when it just blew up like that. So anyway, okay, paper. I use, first of all, I make so many collages, as you heard, 900. So I do it on just paper because it's cheaper, and I don't feel like if it's bad, I can just throw it away, or I can cut it up. Like sometimes I just cut them up, and I'll use pieces in other collages. So I use acrylic paper, Strathmore acrylic, and I think I have it right here. Yeah, Strathmore acrylic paper. And this is a freebie. This is in the Collage Summit class. But it's a heavyweight. It's a 256 bond, I think. Anyway, it can handle layers and layers and layers. Okay. So this is the paper I use. Okay.
You had mentioned earlier about where you live, that there's a lot of opportunity for thrift stores and stuff. So for your like paper and ephemera and stuff, do you get it everywhere?
Yes, the places I go are thrift stores mostly. We have lots of thrift stores here, lots of old people. Thankfully, old people save everything. And so
so do some young people.
Yeah. So I'll get popular mechanics and, popular electronics and all that kind of stuff. And, the thing about old magazines are you get some just really good like graphics, like, even if the pictures aren't good, you get really good graphics or you get good lines. And I pick up every single magazine that's old, even if I don't like the images in them, because maybe the corner or the edges, or maybe there's a color in there you like. And I will just sit and just punch random circles. And this is what I do. I'll just random, circle, circle, circle. And then later I go and look and I'll say, oh, wow, that circle has a really interesting color or interesting texture on it. And I'll use that in a different collage. So I just have a bowl of circles hanging around, and you'll just see me like that's one of my airport things I do, is I'll just sit in the airport and punch circles. Or I'll sit and watch TV and punch circles. Excuse me, I got a hair on my eyelid. So paper is really good. The best kind of paper that you want to find, though, book paper is really good, and old book paper. And you want to find like the nice cotton fiber, the old cotton fiber, because these really hold up well to paint and Liquitex matte medium. And it just grabs onto that paint and it doesn't let it go. And it's really, really good. And you can put all kinds of stuff on it. The ink doesn't smear, and it's really good. The other stuff that's really good, like old sheet music. I'm trying to see if I have some old, like here's some really old sheet music. But again, we're talking about that really old cotton, like a cotton paper fiber. And you can feel the difference. It's not glossy. It's got just a really smooth cotton edge to it. And once you start feeling, this is weird, start feeling the paper in your thrift store, you can feel for it. And it just makes for the most luscious collages, because you get that kind of a fibrous paper on your collage, and it just really holds the paint well.
Nobody listening would think that was weird.
Okay.
They would all completely 100% understand.
Feel your paper, Seth.
Exactly.
But I do. I go through and use bookstores. I'll do this a lot at used bookstores too. I'll just open the book. I won't even necessarily look. I just kind of feel the papers. And those old Western paperback books, like Louis L'Amour and all those, the paper in there is fantastic too. And so like I will just, like a lot of these, my jelly plate stuff that I use, like I think this one is old paperback, but you can't tell because I have this is stenciled and painted over. I try to use real paper, not photocopied, not
originals, all the originals.
I use original source paper. Yes.
So I knew somebody was going to ask this, and if they didn't, I would have.
Okay.
Chloe says she's curious about your storage system. Or lack thereof.
Okay, here's my storage right here. You mean for my paper scraps? Here's my storage, just a paper bag.
Okay.
Okay, that's how I store my scraps. My collages, I actually do a little better job because it's paper, and paper stores better than I have acid-free tissue paper that I actually splurged on, and I will layer them underneath acid-free tissue paper, much like you would do quilts. And because I never did quilt, but I had this huge yearning and desire for quilting. So way back when I was breastfeeding my children at home and I had nothing to do while I was breastfeeding, I would watch quilting shows, Fonz and Porter Quilting. How many of you watched those shows? And they always talked about acid-free, the importance of acid-free tissue paper. And so I bought acid-free quilting paper, actually. And so I store my collages with acid-free paper in between. And I might store 10 stacks, and I just I have a shelf that I just store them on that way. And
that's a really good tip. Thank you.
I don't know if that's the correct way to do it, but I do know that the acid-free paper helps it from discoloring and that kind of thing. So, and I keep them out of direct sunlight. So that's how I do it.
So I had a question.
Yes.
That I'm curious about that. I don't think I asked you when we spoke before.
Okay.
I know it's circles.
Yes.
So like, we don't have to have deeper meaning other than you had circle punches. Maybe that's it. But is there something about the circle as the shape that you're attracted to more than any other shape?
I don't really know. I am an intuitive artist, and what that means is I really don't know what my final collage is going to look like. I kind of have an idea, and I usually start with my central figure, and then I just kind of expand from there. Sometimes I do start with a background, and I'll go from there. But I am just drawn to circles, and I don't really know why. And I always have been. In fact, it wasn't until recently that I started noticing that even way back in my house decorations, I had circle artwork, and I had circle pillows, and I had circle. I don't really know. Okay. I mean, I would probably have to spend lots of time on the therapist couch to probably figure it out. I don't know. Maybe in the womb, my mother ate circle food. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean,
I think I just like circles. I like the negative space and the positive space of the circles. That's what I really like.
Yeah.
Is that you get that negative, and I know what you mean. And I'm talking about my own art, of course, but the layers, how you can layer that negative space of the circles, and you can see right through to the other layers underneath. And that is one thing I love, almost like a tunnel. And I will do that. I'll start with the larger one and go smaller as a tunnel, and it'll tunnel all the way down. So that's one thing I love about the circles, is that you can make a little tunnel. And every collage, I try to do at least one of those. Right. So yeah, I also use the circles also in different ways, and this would be another class which I'm thinking of doing. But I adjust my compositions with my circles, and that's how I move the eye around my piece. So you know how you want to move your eye around, and I do that with circles. And you'll notice I have black circles in almost every one of my collages, and I usually put one down at the bottom, and I put one in an upper right or left corner, and one in the center. And so, and I rotate, that's how I rotate the eye around. And so some people will look at my collages and they'll say, wow, I really am noticing everything. And I'll say, notice where the black circles are. And that tricks your eye and goes around. I have other secrets too. So I'm thinking of doing a composition class. But so I use the circles in many different ways. I use it in for composition purposes, to move your eye around, to highlight layers and surfaces. I also use them to introduce different colors. So sometimes the only new colors will be the circles. So you won't see the colors anywhere else. So I use them in lots of different ways.
You are very active on Instagram, and what I love, I'm not always a big fan of reels, but I am in love with your reels because
thank you.
You just put it out there.
I mean, and it's funny how I do the reels. I don't even do anything special with them. I have this thing right here, which is I don't know if I'm going to try to do
a mount for your I
have one of these, and I just stick my phone on it, and I just hit record.
And work.
And then I don't edit it or anything. Yeah. And I just click a button, and it just jumps onto Instagram.
Yeah, these for those people who are not lovers of reels, your process is really fun to watch.
Thank you.
It really is.
But I don't edit it. I mean, I would love to be able to edit. Those people that do like here's a scene, and then it jumps to another scene, and then it goes to I don't know how to do that. I just
don't worry about that.
Yeah. And I fast forward sometimes, but yeah. Well, thank you. I like doing that too.
Yeah, it's really good. We have dangled the summit. So could you tell everybody what it is, what it's called, what you're doing in it?
Okay. It's called Collage Maker Summit, and collagemakersummit.com is the website where you sign up. It's $49. There are 10 teachers. I'm one of them, and they are classes that were taught live, but they're videotaped. And like my class is 20 minutes and the other classes are 15 to 20 minutes, and you can watch them at your leisure. So when you purchase it, you get the whole 10 classes all at once, kind of like a Netflix show. You get them all at once.
Binge
And which I like. I don't like those series where they give you one, you got to wait a week and get another one.
What's up with that?
I don't like that.
I don't either.
Like Paramount does that, So I don't do Paramount. I only do Netflix. So, or I'll wait until all of them come out, and then I'll watch them all together. Okay, so back to the summit. Okay, so anyway, so the video is 20 minutes. I have it made. It's made. I have not uploaded it to Drew yet because, surprise, Kim doesn't know how to do it. So I've got to call my daughter and see how to do it. But the class is, I think I showed you the collage already. So I'm going to be showing how to incorporate jelly plate papers into a painted background for your collage.
Okay.
And I'm also incorporating, as a bonus, I'm going to show a stencil. So the first, so I've kind of divided your paper in a half. So the first half is jelly plate printed papers onto a painted background, and then the bottom I'm doing a stenciled look. So you get two looks in one.
Okay.
And then so it's just the background, and then I went ahead and afterwards I collaged on top of it just so people could see the potential that the background has. Yeah. Right. So that is my lesson, and there is a technique to it. So, and then Drew has a supply list for everybody. And, hot tip, you don't have to buy what's on the supply list. It's just if you wanted to, work along. And I'm really the kind of person that I'm one of those make do artists. You just make do with what you have at home, and you don't have to follow along with everything. I mean, I'll pick up a chopstick, a spatula, a ruler, my hands. I'll just use whatever. So you don't have to buy exactly what I put on the list. Although the acrylic paper though is kind of key, because if you use any other really kind of paper, it's going to mess up your everything. It's just your paper's going to go
immediately.
Yeah. And the other artists are doing something different. But the one really good thing, and I didn't find this out until I watched the other artists' classes, because guess what? They've uploaded their classes already. Anyway, they get bonus points.
Drew, are you watching?
I know. The other artists get bonus points. And some of them were like early in uploading their classes. I was like, what are you class? You get bonus points. Anyway, I think 2 of them at least are actually showing jelly plate techniques. And so if you watch those first and you make your jelly plate papers, then you can use those papers in my class. So like if you watch those first, keep your papers and then do my class. So
I have a question for you, but she's curious what kind of art or creative endeavors were part of your growing up years.
Oh, okay. It's not that we were poor growing up, but we were very kind of middle class. And my father was only the necessities type father. So we only had, so we just did a lot of paper dolls and just whatever paper was laying around. I can remember using brown paper bags for paper and newspapers for paper. And I had 2 sisters who were also very crafty. So we made our own Barbie doll clothes out of paper. We just have, I remember sometimes my mother would have bags of scrap fabric and we would make scrap fabric things. We were always doing garlands, and so we would make garlands out of different things. And so yeah, we just whatever was laying around. And I can remember also one of the favorite things that I used to do, I would do mosaics out of paper. So you know how you take like little tiny squares and you'd separate them by color, and then you do paper mosaics. And I used to do those as a kid too. And this was also back in the day when, do you remember the rubber cement? Seth, do you remember that?
Yep,
Where you stick the plunger in and you get it all.
Yep.
For some reason, that's what we had in the house was rubber cement. I don't know how that worked, but rubber cement. So that's what we used for that. I don't know why my mother, did they have glue sticks back then? This would have been like 60s and 70s. Did they have it?
I'm trying to remember. Well, I think rubber cement was like ubiquitous then. I mean, that.
I know that, but I don't
know if they had glue sticks. I bet glue sticks came later. I love that, but what I really love is the through line, because when you fast forward to the present, I mean, you're basically still doing all of that.
I am still doing it. Yeah.
stuff that many people, not all of
Yeah.
us, but many people would just toss,
Yeah.
and you are making amazingness out of it.
Well, and there are some times when I will be cutting. And by the way, I still use these are the scissors I use, and I have a bunch of them. You remember these old scissors? I
Me
still
too.
use these, and I just get them
Wow.
sharpened. And there
I
are
love
many
that.
times when I'll be sitting there with these, and an instant flash of a memory of me sitting on the floor cutting paper dolls will come to my head, and I'll just be like,
Oh,
it's just an
yeah,
instant flash of a memory will come. So it's very visceral,
definitely. It's fascinating. One of the things I love about these interviews is you just never know where they're going to go. So,
I
like,
know.
if someone had said to me, "We're going to have a discussion about rubber cement," I would have been like, "Well, okay, I don't know how we'll get
What
there,
did
but
you use? What did you use as a kid? Because you probably did crafts too.
oh, I wasn't very crafty, but I would say Elmer's.
Yeah. Did you do
Actually,
paper? Like what kind of things did you do?
I was if anything, I was a crayon lover.
Mhm.
So I remember,
I hated crayons.
oh, I love crayons. I remember finally getting the big box with the sharpener attached
Mhm.
at some
Mhm.
point. So for me, it was all about like colored paper. The paper, those
Did you
little.
have the patience to do the lines and did you color? Were you one of
I
those?
love that.
I never
Oh
had
my
the
God.
patience, Seth. I never had the
Now I would
patience.
never in a million years do it. But yeah, I was one of these guys, and then would fill each one in with a different color.
Oh my God. Okay, what was your career before you were an art? I mean, like, were you an architect or were you a
I was a psychologist.
okay. There's
I don't
some there's
know.
some psychology in that, Seth.
Yeah, I could probably also, as you said earlier, in a
Mhm.
different context, I could spend some time on the couch with that one.
I have a
Um,
color story for you. So this will be psychology. So in fifth grade, we got a new art. My teacher died in fifth grade. And so I was very upset about it that she died. She had a heart attack. And so we got a new teacher that came in, and this new teacher was awful. And all we did was coloring sheets. And I was gifted, and I was in the gifted program. And this teacher would not allow me to go to the gifted program for some reason. And so all we did was coloring sheets. And I hated it, and you can imagine. So she would hand out the coloring sheets, and I would take my brown crayon like this, and I would do this to my coloring sheets. This is fifth grade. Can you imagine fifth grade coloring sheets? And this is what I did. And I did this she was like a 6-week interim teacher for 6 weeks. That's what I did with my brown crayon.
Amazing. You made sure you
Yes, I was like, I am not doing this.
in some ways what you can say is that you may have been one of the first art journalers out there, because you were basically
Yeah,
taking
maybe.
your
Yeah.
your feelings and you were putting them on paper.
Yeah, I was not happy about it. So, psychologically
And was it
analyzing.
okay? Well, here's something really interesting. Was it you specifically said brown crayon?
Yeah, it was brown.
So, okay, can I admit this? Of course, because I admit everything. My favorite crayon color, and it'll be no surprise since I'm sort of known as the guy who likes muted tones,
Yeah.
was always burnt sienna,
Oh, wow.
which
Yeah.
was like a dull brown,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. Well, you can tell my favorite colors. I love the pinks.
Cool.
I love
Yeah.
the blues.
Reds and brights. Before
Yes.
we wind down, there's a question and a comment that leads to a question.
Okay.
Do you ever frame your pieces?
Personally, me, no, but I have had people that have purchased my collages that have framed them, and they look really good in a frame. And but me personally, no.
Okay. And then how do the titles come? Do they?
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So I am an intuitive artist, as you know, and so I don't always know where my collages are going. And so as I'm making the collages, typically what will happen is a song will come in my head, as is absolutely true, and a verse or something will come in my head, and that is usually what then becomes my title. So it's either something from a verse of a song or a variation on that verse. And I love Broadway. One of my favorite Broadway writers is Stephen Sondheim. And if you go back and you look, if you're a big Sondheim fan like I am, many of my collages are from his musicals.
Wow.
And so you'll see references. And if they're not exactly the things from his writings, but I would say 40% of my titles are references to his musicals.
I love that. And it's
So,
not music you're listening to. It's music that actually is being evoked by what you're doing.
Yes. And the funny thing is, I will have people say to me, that title sounds like a song or it sounds like a lyric. And I go wink, wink to myself. But yeah, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a poem. Sometimes it'll be something I have, a TV show maybe I've listened to the night before. And I think it's because it's in my head. And so that will become a title.
Right.
But usually it's a song.
Oh, I love that it's evoked so organically. Someone asked if you display more formally than what's in the background, your art in your home.
Yes, I do. In fact, I'll show. Can I move out of the picture for just a minute? I'll show you something.
Absolutely. We love tours.
So I print this for myself.
That's phenomenal.
See this one?
Oh, that's a beautiful piece, but the fact that it's larger, it has so much presence.
Yes, it's beautiful. Isn't it large?
Yeah.
So I hang these up in my house. So, and I have these all over my house. So you see how it's large?
You have given me so many tidbits and tips.
Yeah.
Like seriously, that is
But doesn't that look beautiful, large?
Phenomenal.
Yes. So
it scales up so well.
It scales up really well. And look I'm going to show you the quality of these prints are fantastic.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying, of course it's mine. So I'm of course but so what I do is and maybe I should offer these for sale. I don't know. My favorite ones, and of course it's pink because I love pink. I get them printed up large size on canvas, and then I put them around my house. When I started, my intention was not to be a business or, but I have had so many people have supported me. And I'll end this way too. Thank everyone who has supported. And I have had nothing but wonderful comments on Instagram, and everybody has been so appreciative and, no mean girls on Instagram. Everybody's been really good. So I appreciate
that.
And you too, Seth, you've been really good. Now
you.
I just need Tim Holtz to contact me. So,
well,
and then I'll be good.
You're watching, Tim, you hear that?
Then I'll be good.
As we're winding down, this is when everyone's saying these lovely things. So I'm going to read a few and then we can sign off. Today has been a blast, fun interview, entertaining and authentic interview. Thanks. Please teach a composition class. Okay. Fantastic interview. Thank you both. Lovely people. Love this interview. So awesome to meet Kim. 2 hearts. Love meeting Kim. Thank you so much, Seth. You're very welcome. Awesome work, Kim. Thank you so much for sharing. I learned so much. Thank you for coming on. Great interview. So yeah. And then somebody is cutting stuff right now. So
that's great.
They must have been inspired.
Make those collages.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you so much. This has been fun. It's been a pleasure getting to know you more.
Well, contact me on Instagram, everybody. Yes. That's where I live.
Speak with you all soon.
All right. Bye, Seth.
Bye. Thanks, Kim.
Mm-hmm.